Okay, I think we are live here and we are going to go through and put some bets down. Now, we have done fantastic through the first 2 weeks and we're just going to try to keep this hot streak on the roll. I'm not going to sit here and claim that we are some massively profitable bettors over a large sample. Anybody claiming that on YouTube is straight up lying to you. But we are going out on this live stream every single day. I'm showing you my real result. We're going to go through and track what I can turn this $1,000 into by the end of the season. And if we keep going at this rate, it should be a pretty damn good year. So let's go through, get this up. What I need to do real quick is I need to make sure we fill y'all in with what our bets did this past week. Let me grab those screenshots. Also share the screen on what the bets are going to be looking like this week. Okay, so this one right here was from week 1. So week 1, you're going to see that we essentially profited $80. I mean, we went through, didn't bet the entire $1,000 roll just because there weren't any locks that I was really trying to chase, but we did profit $80. So after week 1, we were up 80. And then from here, let's do some quick math. We missed on a lot of them. And the reason that we missed on a lot is we had 2 bets that I was trying to slam in every single time. Our bets that we were trying to slam in were Devin Singletary and Tim Patrick. Now, Tim Patrick worked out for us. If you do some quick math real quick, I haven't done this yet. Hopefully we were profitable. Okay, down 100 here, down 60 here, up 240. Okay, so I'm assuming we're up $80 in week 2 as well. Okay, so plus 160 so far on the season. Let's go through and let's try to get this going. And of course, if y'all want to make these player props on your own, if you want to support this channel, if you want to support anything that we're doing, make sure that you go through and sign up for Underdog Fantasy, which is where all these lines can be found. Use promo code FLOCK. With promo code FLOCK, I mean, you're going to get the max deposit bonus to go along with that. You are also going to be supporting this channel. You're going to get daily entries to win a Fantasy Flock Network hat. So make sure y'all go to the description of the video, use promo code FLOCK. And yeah, let's go through and let's look at some of these bets and our first lock that I want to be chasing here. And I know so many people are going to hate me for saying this. Kyler Murray at 27 fantasy points. Now, this seems very aggressive. This seems very aggressive given a couple facts. I mean, we know this is a game that I don't necessarily think it's going to be that competitive. I don't think Arizona is going to have to push the pace of play. And B, as of now, DeAndre Hopkins is questionable and going to be a game time decision for this game. So I'm a little worried about this 27 fantasy points line for Kyler Murray. Now, the problem is if we're going through every bet that I'm trying to make in the bets that we've had a ton of success with is building in the correlation into our starting lineup. I'm sorry, not our starting lineup and used to fantasy football, but our little parlays here. So say if we're going to go through, if we're going to bet the under on Justin Fields to go under 268 total yards, well, we know that that is most likely, if this hits, Allen Robinson is also going to be going under for his 63.5 receiving yards. So we should make sure that these line up, and I think it will increase the odds of us hitting on our second bet, assuming our first one is good. Now, the problem with making that decision with Kyler Murray here is we simply don't have another wide receiver. They don't have Rondale Moore. They don't have DeAndre Hopkins listed as this time, just because, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is a game time decision. So, of course, they're not going to be able to have that line out there for now. So I do want to go through and try to attack this Kyler Murray at 27.5 fantasy points line with hitting the under. But the problem is trying to find some correlation here. So I think what we can say is if we're going to hit the Kyler Murray under, what would also maybe happen in this game? I think if Kyler Murray hits the under, maybe the overall game is a little lower scoring than what we may think. So with that being said, it could be advantageous to hit the Trevor Lawrence and Marvin Jones under at the same time to go along with Kyler Murray. I mean, in DFS terms, everybody loves to go through and stack their quarterback and have a bring back in that same game, knowing that if one side of the ball just goes nuclear, then probably the other offense is going to have to be keeping up as well. So let's take the entire under on here. I know a lot of people like to go overs. I mean, if y'all haven't noticed a clear trend by now, we're hitting a lot of unders, and I think that's something we're going to continue to try to do now. Let's go 25. We're going to probably do $25 for the majority of bets. There's one bet in here that I definitely want to be jamming in. So let's get a $25 ticket going. Now scrolling down, I mean, these lines for Kansas City and Los Angeles, here the Tyreek Hill 88.5 receiving yards. That's a number that I really do like. But the question is, are we confident with Mahomes hitting over 337 total yards? I mean, that's essentially just all passing yards for Patrick Mahomes, considering the fact that he has really not rushed at all so far in the regular season. We know we can see that from Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, but I think Mahomes is kind of playing it safe for now, making sure that he's not getting injured. So I like this Tyreek number, but if we're going to take a wide receiver to go over, I kind of want to take his quarterback to go over as well. And I don't know if we can go all in on Mahomes at that number. So instead, I think we're going to probably take another under here against a much tougher defense in Buffalo. I think that Taylor Heineke may actually struggle a little bit more than what we saw this past week. And also this Logan Thomas number at 44.5 receiving yards does seem pretty aggressive. And we can actually go through and take the under on the other side. This is my favorite line of the week. We ended up losing on this line last week, knowing that Devin Singletary did have that one big play, but I don't want to be making an assumption that Devin Singletary is going to hit that big play every single time. So we're going to go most likely take the under on Devin Singletary here as well. So let's load up another $25 ticket, and this is to win $150. So I know we're going to lose the majority of these. That's kind of what you've seen so far through the first 2 weeks, but all we have to do is hit on one. If we can find one to hit on, then I think we'll be in a great spot. Now, going through and also looking at what we're going to have in Tennessee. Now, Tennessee's a little bit of an intriguing case. Derrick Henry at 121 total yards. I know that now he's getting targeted out of the backfield. It's kind of harder to go through and say that that Derrick Henry line is a little too high, just given the fact that he can go through and he can get there a multitude of ways. I really want to be trying to get the overs on Ryan Tannehill, on A.J. Brown, on Julio Jones here. Now, we don't have a bring back opportunity that we could with Indianapolis, considering the Carson Wentz just uncertainty at the moment. They don't even have any of the receivers on the line for Indianapolis or Carson Wentz as well. So maybe we work our way back to this, but for now, it's going to be a stay away. Now, scrolling down slightly more, Joe Mixon at 93.5 total yards does seem a little aggressive against a pretty damn good Pittsburgh Steelers defense. And considering this defense is really good, I mean, I would really like to take the Jamar Chase under, but the problem is if T. Higgins does not play, which we don't know for now, we don't know exactly how healthy T. Higgins is, you simply cannot take this Jamar Chase under. Now, Chase Claypool, keep in mind, Deontay Johnson has been ruled out this week. So if Deontay Johnson is going to be not playing this week, I think all of a sudden Chase Claypool and his target share in this offense should be expected to rise. Now, the question is, can we confidently take the Ben Roethlisberger over at 15.95 fantasy points? So essentially calling it 16. And Big Ben has been very disappointing so far this year. Now, if we think about the defenses that he's played, in week 1, he went up against the Buffalo Bills. In week 2, he went up against the Las Vegas Raiders. Shouldn't be that worried about the Raiders defense, however. So that possibly is going to be a stay away. I at least want to get 5 bets down this week. So maybe we come back to this and hit the over on Big Ben as well as Chase Claypool. But yeah, now let's stay away from that call. Scroll down just a little bit more. Now you have Matt Ryan going up against what should be one of the easier defenses he's played this year in the New York Giants. And if we're looking at the New York Giants side of the ball, I mean, I think that these lines, I mean, let me know if anything stands out to you. One line that I don't like is Mike Davis for 72.5 total yards. I mean, Mike Davis is a player that I really don't want to be betting on for the long haul. I mean, you know, if you watch our fantasy football channel, I've really never been a massive fan of Mike Davis, at least for 2021, with the opportunity cost that he really has, with most people assuming that he is that 3-down running back. So this is a number that I think we can heart right here, and maybe we're going to come back and try to slam some more Mike Davis's unders. But I think when they have Devin Singletary, Mike Davis for very similar total yards, we probably want to be taking the under on Devin Singletary more times than not. Now, going down just a little bit further, seeing what we're going to have with the Miami Dolphins. I think this Miami Dolphins spot is a clear spot to take the under. I mean, Jalen Waddle at almost 50 receiving yards with no Tua Tagovailoa. Also, at the same time, I mean, you're dealing with Will Fuller coming back. I really want to be taking the under on Jalen Waddle here. Now, the question is, how can we go through and get the correlation in the lineup when we don't have any of the other Miami Dolphins players on the board? Simply, we can't, which definitely sucks to see. But I think for this time, we're fine not getting correlation into this lineup, and we're just going to be sticking out with Jalen Waddle. I'm fine with the Darren Waller and Derek Carr lines right here. But there are 2 lines that I definitely want to be attacking. Now, if you go over and you look at Vegas spreads, they actually have this game for New York as well as Denver. They have Denver as 10.5 point favorites, which in my opinion seems crazy. Now, I'll say that these lines probably look good if you're talking about what Vegas has, because Vegas is definitely smarter than I am. I'm never trying to pretend that I'm smarter than Vegas. Anybody who tries to pretend that is straight up lying to you, just to be completely honest. But now let's go through and let's just bet against that. Let's go with the Zach Wilson and Corey Davis over. Zach Wilson, 13.25 fantasy points is going to be an extremely low bar, as well as Corey Davis, 3.5 receptions. They had Tim Patrick listed at 4.5 receptions this past week. So we're going to go through, slam the Zach Wilson, Corey Davis, and Jalen Waddle under. We're going to be hitting, Jalen Waddle's under, Zach Wilson, Corey Davis. We're going to be hitting the overs there. We're going to be betting 25 on that one. Now let's go down, and there was a line down here that I really like to see, and that's the Leonard Fournette line. Now with Fournette, they have him projected to see 67.5 rushing and receiving yards. This is something that I want to be just going all out against this line. I mean, I think this is a very bad line. We're going to be going with the under. And if this hits the under, I mean, we would naturally assume that maybe this turns into a shootout where they really just disregard the running backs in their team. And if that's going to happen, I think that you see the Los Angeles Rams throwing the ball consistently. So I think betting alongside that, we're going to go with the over on Matthew Stafford. And I'm also going to go with the over on Robert Woods. Now, the question is, can we try to slide in Cooper Kupp at 90.5 receiving yards, where I know everybody's going to be screaming at me, yes, do it, based on what we have had over the past 2 weeks with Cooper Kupp. But just keep in mind, if Cooper Kupp went out, based on the production he's had through the first 2 weeks, if he consistently had 90 receiving yards from here on out every single game, this is a player that would close in on just leading the NFL in receiving yards throughout the entire season. I don't necessarily know if we want to be betting on that. So I think having 3 picks here, that's going to be more than enough. I think when you're trying to jam in more, I mean, the overall odds that you're just probably missing out on, it's too much. I don't want to be going and having a 4-man parlay. It's going to be way too hard to hit that. So instead, let's bet 25 on the under for Leonard Fournette, the over on both Matthew Stafford and Robert Woods. So we're going to be betting that slip. And I think we've made 4 bets so far. Let's go back down and obviously, you're not going to see me trying to bet on soccer. That would just be embarrassing. I probably can't even pronounce those names. But now let's go back up here. So you have Justin Jefferson essentially at 80 receiving yards. You also have Russell Wilson at 23.85 fantasy points. Tyler Lockett at 78.5 receiving yards, as well as DK Metcalf. Honestly, these lines I'm kind of fine with. If we were wanting to just have some fun with this, I think something we could look to do is bet the over on Russ, the over on Metcalf, as well as, you know what? Let's just operate. Let's get a fun bet out here. Let's get a fun bet and go, what happens if these teams just get into a shootout? What happens if these teams just blow the barn doors off? And if that's going to happen, I mean, you would imagine that these overs are going to hit. I know a lot of people probably prefer the Tyler Lockett line over DK Metcalf. I'm still of the opinion that Metcalf is actually the wide receiver 1 in Seattle through the first 2 weeks. I know a lot of people are not going to agree with it, but it's my money. It's my bet. It's my $1,000 bankroll challenge. Of course, if you want to go put your own on, you can go use promo code FLOCK in the description of the channel. Make that $10 deposit, get a max deposit bonus, and also support this channel. But I think here with a 4-man bet, if we're betting $250, this is to win $250. I think that, so if we only need to hit this 1 out of 10 times, I think that that is perfectly fine, knowing that there is a clear path for that to happen if we just get the overall game flow that we're wanting. So let's go with the 250 there. Okay. So now let's just skim right through. Let me see what y'all are saying in the live chat for anybody who came out to this live stream, seeing any lines that y'all like. Okay, so Jabir says, can you bet games on Underdog 2 or just player props? Just player props on Underdog, because Underdog is technically not a sports book. So I know a lot of y'all can't do sports books in your states. I can't do sports books in Florida either, but you can do Underdog since they're just player props. Now coming out and seeing if we have any other questions or any. Okay, so Kevin's saying that he really likes the Marvin Jones over, even though we took the under on Marvin Jones, especially if Laviska Shenault's out. I'll say if Laviska Shenault's out, that's going to be a pretty bad line, and I will completely agree with you on that one. If Laviska Shenault's out, you definitely want the Marvin Jones over here. But now let's go through and let's just skim one more time to see if we're missing out on anything. Please let me know in the live chat if there are any bets that you'd really like to see. Now, did we make an official Taylor Heinicke under? I think that we actually did. We made that under with Logan Thomas. You know what we'll do? Let's go through and let's just pick out our 3 favorite lines, even if we're not attacking single games with these bets. Just more so, let's go and talk about my favorite bets of the week. We'll get the under on Devin Singletary for 66.5 total yards. We can also scroll down and find that line that we also had on Leonard Fournette. So Leonard Fournette going back, he was at 67.5 total yards. Really don't like that line. And then we'll take the over one more time on Zach Wilson and Corey Davis. And we'll just get another possible 10x bet in here. Because, I mean, if we're going through and we're doing these long shots, we at least need to have one hitting every week. So let's go. And that's going to be probably my, I don't want to say the locks of the week. There was no lock of the week like we had last week where, I mean, just Tim Patrick at 4.5 receptions was ridiculous. Of course, you were taking that under every single time. They're not giving us a gift like that again. But I think that these lines are pretty damn good to take the under on Singletary, the under on Fournette, the over on Wilson, and the over on Corey Davis. I mean, this is, like I said, they had Tim Patrick last week for 4.5 receptions. Now you're getting Corey Davis for 3.5. That is fantastic. And just, I think we're probably done. I think that, I mean, the Lions are at a reasonable spot here. I would say that, yeah, Jared Goff has smashed this number over the past 2 weeks, but he's probably in line for some regression. Teddy Bridgewater, I would like taking the under on Teddy Bridgewater here, but the problem is it's harder to get that correlation in. So if we're going to, actually, let's go and let's make one more of these bets with the under on Teddy Bridgewater. Let's take the under on Bridgewater, the over on Zach Wilson, Corey Davis. We're doing exactly what we said not to and just throwing a ton of these together. This is going to be a very low probability of hitting. I mean, it's literally a 20x. So we'll just put $10 on this one. It's $10 to win 200. So let's submit that just as a long shot, just for fun, to see if we get some sweats going on Sunday. So that's the under on Teddy B, the over on Wilson, the over on Davis, the under on Fournette, and the under on Singletary. This is like the last thing I would recommend for you to do on Underdog, is just to take a bunch of random bets and have a 5-man parlay. This is just more so for fun. I think the bets that we made at the beginning of the video, those were definitely the ones that I'd be chasing whenever you are getting the correlation into the lineup. But make sure y'all go use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. Go to the description of the video. I'll also leave it in the comment section. Make that $10 deposit with promo code FLOCK, and nothing helps this channel more. You get daily entries to win a Fantasy Flock Network hat once you make that one-time deposit with promo code FLOCK, and you also support the channel more than you would ever believe. So yeah, thank you everybody for coming out. I hope that y'all enjoyed this, and I hope y'all have a great day.